Welcome to Mind Your Reality, where we discuss the power of the human mind, theories about the true nature of reality, and tools for manifesting the life you desire to experience. I am your host, Tania Kotsos, the author of the award-winning book, The Adventure of I, and of the Mind Your Reality website. Who is your true self? 12 names for knowing who you truly are. The first step in knowing your true self is to ask yourself, who am I? The answer is not your name, not your personality, not your physical body, not even your physical experiences, or your thoughts, emotions, or desires. The answer to the question, who am I, is only ever, I am. The I within that declares I am is the highest degree of consciousness of a human being and is who you truly are. In this episode, I will be discussing 12 names for your true self with the aim in mind of understanding and ultimately remembering your true nature. Your true self goes by many names, all of which are used interchangeably, while each one defines an attribute of who you truly are. These names are the higher self, the real you, the real ego, the I am, the observer, the higher mind, superconsciousness, spirit, the dreamer, a divine spark, and your God self. While there are more names, I have chosen to focus on these 12 as they best describe the nature of your true self in a somewhat literal sense, which goes a long way in aiding your understanding. We will now take a look at each name in turn to gain a better understanding of who you truly are. But no matter the name or the limitations of finite words to express the infinite, remember there is only ever one you. And in finding your true self, your aim is to remember who you truly are, the you that has always existed and will always exist. Let me jog your memory. Name number 1, the higher self. The name higher self is self-explanatory in that it is the highest expression of yourself in degree of consciousness, above the physical you with your perceived personality and 5 physical senses, which itself is nothing more than the mask you wear in your 3D experience. The higher self is higher in every sense, higher in awareness than the conscious mind of the personal self, and higher than the subconscious mind of the automaton. You are your higher self even while in the physical world having a physical experience. In other words, you are in this world, but you are not of it. Name number 2. The real you. Real here is meant in the literal sense of the word, meaning that your true self is the you that is real because it exists outside of the projection of the 3D physical plane and is eternally changeless. In comparison, your physical reality and everything and everyone in your 3D experience, including the physical you, are projections of consciousness, even if they appear real to the physical you that is in the projection. So the real you is something that is true or else unchanging, not like your ever-changing emotions, thoughts, physical body, and physical experiences. Name number 3, the real ego. The word ego to describe your true self is meant in the original sense of the Greek word ego, literally meaning I. This is distinct from what I call the counterfeit or false ego of the personal self, which is the so-called ego with a small e wrapped up in your 3D experience. The ego of the personality has wrongly hijacked the name ego. Now, you may have been told to relinquish your ego, but this advice can only ever apply to the counterfeit ego, not your real ego. You can never be rid of your ego with a capital E, that is the I, because it is your true self, the you that is real, not illusory. I refer to the ego as the real ego to clearly distinguish who you truly are from your personal self or personality. Name number 4, the I within. I is the direct English translation of the Greek word ego or ego. The letter I, which is equivalent to the Greek letter iota, is represented by two horizontal lines above and below, with a central vertical line joining the two. This represents the joining of heaven and earth as one, with a central vertical line showing the way upwards to the spiritual plane from the lower physical plane. There is no other pronoun that can refer to your true self than I. The personality operates at the level of me and outside people, he, she, they, and things, while the I operates as the individual, which itself comes from the Latin word individuus, meaning indivisible. So, unlike today's use of the word individual that implies separateness, in its original sense, the individual is indivisibly one with all. Name number 5. I am. I am asserts the state of being of the I. As your true self, you do not say, I am this or I am that. When you take away every last word that you use to describe yourself or who you think you are, what you are left with is who you truly are, the I am. Try it. Ask yourself, who am I? Just for a moment, drop every adjective or name you're accustomed to using in describing who you are. Drop them all, one by one, until there is nothing left. This no thing is who you are in the literal sense of the word nothing, as in not belonging to the world of things. All power resides in I am, with no constraints or qualifications. And since the I is the you that thinks independently of your personality, without beliefs, perceptions, prejudices, and so on, the I within says, I think, therefore I am, in full authority. Taking this further, since your will belongs to the I think, therefore I am, becomes I think, therefore I am, therefore I will. Your will is not to be confused with what is often perceived as being forceful, personal self-control. True will is the greatest power of the universe, as it requires no force. Your true will declares a thing already done, in the sense of, thy will be done, and belongs to your true self. Name number 6, the observer. As the observer, you are undisturbed by outside events because you are not defined by anything in the physical or mental planes, including your physical experiences and mental contents of emotions, thoughts, desires, fears, and so on. Your true self is the observer, and everything and everyone else, including the physical you, is what is being observed. Observation is different from perception. The observer is unaffected by what is observed, whereas the perceiver is directly affected by what is perceived in accordance with his or her perception of it. In the words of St. Francis of Assisi, the one you are looking for is the one who is looking. The one you are looking for is the observer, your true self. The one you are looking for is who you truly are, and in fact, you need not look any further than within yourself, and remember, you are the one. Name number 7, higher mind. The name higher mind is in reference to the first of the 7 universal laws, the law of mentalism, that states, all is mind. Mind is the underlying substance of the universe, and specifically universal mind. Higher mind is an expression of the highest degree of consciousness of universal mind, which at its full potential, as the mind of the Absolute or the One, is omnipotent, all-powerful, omniscient, all-knowing, and omnipresent, all-present. Since there is only one mind, present everywhere and at every single point in its entirety, this means that your mind is universal mind in its entirety. The higher mind is the mind of your true self. The higher mind knows and identifies fully with the mind of the Absolute, and hence is above and superior to the conscious mind of the personality and the subconscious mind with its automated programs. And since all is mind, this means you do not have a mind, you are mind. Name number 8, Superconsciousness. Superconsciousness or higher consciousness is the highest degree of self-awareness, which is to be aware of oneself as your true self. The preposition super is from the Latin adverb super, meaning above, and is also the root of superior, meaning higher, upper, or situated above. One can say, therefore, that superconsciousness is above and superior to the consciousness of the physical and mental planes in which the physical you with its personality is having an experience. The mind, that is the underlying substance of the universe, is alive with consciousness. So mind and consciousness are used interchangeably. All degrees of consciousness, from the unconscious to the superconscious, make up the one universal mind, the difference being the degree of recognition or awareness of this oneness. At the degree of superconsciousness, you fully identify as being one and the same with universal mind, rather than thinking that one part of universal mind is in you and another part is in someone else, and so on. Full identification is absolute, whereas no or part identification is relative and belongs to the plane of duality that the true self is above and superior to. Name number 9, the dreamer. The name dreamer refers to the dream nature of reality. When you dream, your dream world is a projection taking place within your consciousness, even though you experience your dreams as being both real and separate to the projection of the you that is in the dream. However, to the you who is the dreamer having the dream, it is all just the projection of consciousness. No matter what happens to the version of you in your dream, the dreamer remains unchanged. Waking up to the level of self-awareness of your true self can be likened to waking up in physical reality from your dream world and realizing it was a dream. You are dreaming. Moreover, to be your true self while having a physical world experience is akin to realizing that what you are seeing is a dream while you are dreaming. This can be compared to lucid dreaming, which is when the dreamer is aware that he is dreaming while he is dreaming, and so exerts varying degrees of control over his participation in the dream world. This is perhaps one of the reasons why identifying with your higher self is also called a spiritual awakening. Remember, you are dreaming. Name number 10, pure spirit. The name spirit tells us that the domain of your true self is wholly the spiritual plane that is above the mental and physical planes in degree of consciousness and hence has directive power over both of them. The word spirit comes from the Latin spirare, meaning to breathe. So your spirit is that which breathes life into you, that animates your existence. Spirit is distinct from the soul in that the soul participates in animate life. In other words, the soul participates in your senses, desires, appetites, and all things relative. Spirit, in contrast, never departs the spiritual plane and remains above duality, being one with the Absolute while being aware of this oneness. Name number 11, divine spark of God. In ancient texts, the spiritual plane is associated with the element of fire. Since human beings are created or emanated in the image of the Absolute or God, the term divine spark has been attributed to the true self, with divine denoting the divinity of the Absolute and spark being associated with fire. And as a divine spark of the Absolute, you're the same in kind, only different in degree. And that degree is only ever a function of your awareness of your oneness with the one source of all existence. Just as the sun reflects itself in countless raindrops that appear to divide the sun, but the sun remains as one, so it is that your spirit is a divine spark of the Absolute, while the Absolute always remains as one. In this way, you realize that indeed you are God, or the One, experiencing itself from an individual, localized, and subjective perspective in form. Name number 12, your God Self. As your God Self, you know that you are one with the Absolute, which itself goes by many names, amongst which are the Source, the All, the One, and God. Being absolute, there is nothing outside of it, and being infinite means that it is beyond space and time, that it always existed and will always exist. The nature of the Absolute is all good and absolute love, both of which have no opposite. Absolute goodness and absolute love are also your true nature, because they are all that is. When you first begin to contemplate your true self, your awareness is at the very center of your experience. To go beyond your individualized experience, imagine your consciousness expanding inwards and outwards infinitely and beyond space and time in all directions, until all that is, was, and can ever be is held within your consciousness. Then remove your attention from the center and become this consciousness. This is to merge as one with the Absolute, which is to discover your true home. And while it may seem like you have returned home, you realize that you had never left. Now that we have discussed the 12 names associated with your true self, let us look at the greatest instruction passed down to us by the ancient Greek philosophers. The Delphic maxim, Gnothi Safton. It literally means, know thyself, and was inscribed on the temple of Apollo, the god of light, in Delphi, Greece. To know yourself is not to know the physical you with your perceived strengths and weaknesses. Rather, it is to know who you truly are, beyond and above the physical plane of your 3D experience. Thyself, in this timeless instruction, refers to your true self, and when you know thyself, thou shalt know all the secrets of the gods and of the universe. To wrap up our discussion of your true self, let us look at the idea that you are where your awareness is. Consciousness is a single continuum, starting with the one that emanates universal mind, which in turn emanates the cosmic soul, then individualized souls, and then the material 3D plane of your physical experience. Most people's awareness is anchored in the physical, illusory 3D plane. Why? Because they are participating in the 3D projection, convinced by its real appearance, even if it is illusory. And because of this, attempting to alter the 3D projection from this level of awareness is like trying to change the images in a movie that is already playing, that is already being projected. Your true self is not outside of you, it is you. Universal mind is not outside of you, it is your mind. The One is not outside of you. You and God are one. In other words, you are always your true self that is always aware of your oneness with the One, and your experience depends on where your awareness is. You can shift your awareness along this single continuum of consciousness to your higher self through contemplation and meditation while in the physical plane. And when you manifest from this higher awareness, you expand your power to the supreme power of the One. And you know that whatever you imagine must by law come to be projected in the 3D plane. You have no concern for the how or current circumstances because you know that all is a projection of your wonderful imagination. In a nutshell, your true self is the higher self or real you, the I within in the true original sense of the Greek word ego or ego. As the I, you say, I am, with full authority, and know that your higher mind is one and the same with universal mind in its entirety, which is the degree of consciousness that is known as superconsciousness. Your true domain as pure spirit is the spiritual plane, and knowing that you're a divine spark of the Absolute, which is the All or God, you let go and allow your consciousness to merge with it as one, in the knowledge that your true nature is all good and absolute love. Remember to remember your true self. And that brings us to the end of the audio version of the article. I hope you have enjoyed it and gained the knowledge and motivation to start using your mind with greater self-awareness and intention. Because we did cover a lot of ground, I encourage you to re-listen and also to read the article. You can do so by visiting the website at www.mind-your-reality.com. There you'll also find a large number of other articles by category, as well as a number of tools, and I encourage you to study and use them. You can also subscribe to the newsletter and follow me on social media, including YouTube. And last and most certainly not least, thank you for listening and for your time, and I hope you will continue listening in the future. This has been your host, Tania Kotsos. Be well always.